Hello, I'm Mr. Larry Burrs, a graduate student in education at Thomas College, and today I'm going to be an introductory newsletter friend to be able to share with you a description of a graphic novel for young adult literature, and it's one of the most famous of fictional accounts by the legendary French author of the 19th century, Jules Verne. And this particular story, Around the World in 80 Days, has become over, the nearly 150 years since its first appearance, one of the great favorites for young adult readers. And I chose today to introduce you to this fictional classic for many reasons. And I'm also happy to introduce it to you in a graphic novel format that makes it a little more accessible to young readers, young adult readers, and even the unimpressed reader who might not particularly find time to read or even enjoy reading, but its graphic illustrations make it a welcome uh, kind of encounter with a work of great classic literature. And basically, the story of Around the World in 80 Days is an adventure story introducing a wealth of characters that Jules Verne describes so aptly. I'm going to read to you an introductory piece from Around the World in 80 Days that might hopefully stir your interest in reading this for yourself. So let me turn this around here, and I'm going to read to you right now. Let's go on this great adventure together. The house in Seville Row, though not opulent, was to be recommended for its extreme comfort. Moreover, due to the invariable habits of its occupant, the service was reduced to a minimum. However, Phileas Fogg demanded extraordinary punctuality and regularity from his only servant. That very day, 2nd October, Phileas Fogg had dismissed James Forster. The young man had been guilty of bringing him shaving water at 84 degrees Fahrenheit instead of 86, and he was waiting for a successor who was to arrive between 11 o'clock and half 11. Phileas Fogg was sitting squarely in his armchair, with both feet together, like a soldier on parade, his hands resting on his knees, his body straight, and his head high, and his knees, and his eyes were following the needle on the clock, a complicated contraption that indicated the hours, minutes, and seconds, plus the days, the dates, and the year. Mr. Fogg had to leave the house on the stroke of 11:30, and was his daily custom to go to the Reform Club. At this juncture, there was a knock on the door of the small drawing room where Phileas Fogg was seated. James Forster, the dismissed servant, appeared. "The new servant," he said. A young man about 30 years old entered and bowed. "You are French, and your name is John?" Phileas Fogg asked him. "Jean, if you don't mind, sir," replied the newcomer. "Jean Passepartout, a nickname that has stuck with me because of my ability to wriggle my way out of difficult situations. I believe myself to be an honest lad, sir, but to be frank, I've had several occupations. I've been a strolling singer, a circus rider, a trapeze artist like Lyotard, and a tightrope dancer like Blondin. Then I became a gymnastics teacher to make my talents more useful. And lastly, I was a sergeant with the fire brigade in Paris. I even have some remarkable fires to my credit. But 5 years ago, I left France, and following a desire to have a taste of family life, I became a manservant in England. When I found myself without a job, having heard that Mr. Phileas Fogg was the most punctual and most sedentary man in the United Kingdom, I came to offer my services in the hope of living a quiet life here and being able to forget the very meaning of my name, Passepartout. "Passepartout suits me," replied the gentleman. "You have been recommended to me. I have had favorable reports about you. Are you aware of my conditions?" "Yes, sir." "Fine. What time is it with you?" 22 minutes past 11, replied Passepartout, pulling an enormous silver watch out from the depths of his fob. Your watch is slow, said Mr. Fogg. I beg your pardon, sir, but that's impossible. Your watch is 4 minutes slow. It is no consequence. All you need to do is to note the difference. So from this time forward, 29 minutes past 11 a.m. on Wednesday, the 2nd of October, 1872, you are in my service. Well, hopefully you found that little excerpt from Around the World in 80 Days interesting, and maybe you want to carry on and learn more about this incredible adventure story that brings Phileas Fogg and his servant Passepartout around the world in 80 days, or maybe not. You'll have to read it to find out for sure the ending of this story and the reason so many people find it so popular. I want to thank you for a chance to introduce my text for you in this newsletter today, and there'll be others too. This particular graphic novel format hopefully will really interest you to pick up and read with great enjoyment. I know it has for me. And so for this particular session of the newsletter, I want to thank all of you for joining me, Mr. Burse, and learning more about the wonders and the joy of literature. Thank you.